you didn't see the video, but the chick who was, it was a joke. It was a skit kind of thing. I'll play it again. It's the girl is running away from the groom. The bride is running away from the groom, saying she doesn't want to marry him because he's too perfect, because he has, he does everything he's supposed. Let me go dig that up. This is too good not to. Yeah, you didn't see this because I played this before you got in here. Let me see if where did I put that? Oh, I can't marry you. Okay, here, watch this. Put it on.
Marry you? You're too good for me. Not even me.
Let me pause it right quick.
Yeah, pause it and, so he can hear it.
All right, should be playing.
Can't marry you. You're too good for me. Not even me. You are too nice to me. I'll be less nice. Your gifts are too specific. I'll give you a gift card. I'm sorry. I never got to buy. You're too emotionally supportive. It's the money. You make too much money. I'll quit my job. I'll do improv. No. I can't do it. I can't. My mom likes you too much. No, you're too in love with me. So are you. What? You're too committed. Fine. Well, we can be poly. What? I mean, you could be poly. Fine. God damn it. Are you not running after me?
So I think that's kind of ironically funny, considering what we've been talking about, because it's like all the things, like he's too perfect, right? He does everything that he's supposed to do, but like it's still buying into this. Like that's still not what she wants. She still wants the roller coaster. She still wants the bad boy. She still wants, and people keep asking. I keep seeing this over and over in like I'll get this from like Alex from Date Psych, or from like Mac, and particularly from Mac and Murphy, or Rob Henderson. What's funny about Rob Henderson, he's put out so much material about the dark triad personality traits, and now he's like really kind of backpedaling now that he's got his doctorate, and he's like this sort of like celebrity doctor now. But I think one of the reasons why the dark triad personality traits are so attractive is because they directly map onto survival traits or masculine dominance. Like you would have to be a badass to actually legitimately have these traits, right? And I'm not talking about like people faking those traits. I'm talking about like what was it? When we talk about hybristophilia is, hybristophilia? Hybristophilia is a dynamic, or a psychological dynamic that really only women have. And it's this tendency to get involved and want to have sex with thugs and killers and like prison inmates and criminals. And like, for instance, what's his name? Luigi Mangione right now. Yeah. Like he has this massive like female like fan club, and who basically like will tweet, say, I would fuck him in a second. I would want to, and then everybody would say, well, it's just because he's a good looking guy. Like, there's a lot of really good looking guys who are like pro-social and haven't killed anybody, but they don't have teenage fan clubs like Luigi Mangione does. Right. So that's the in a nutshell. I could talk about it for ages, but hybristophilia is the tendency for women to want to get with guys with dark triad personality traits, and who happen to be convicted criminals, rapists, killers, whatever else, warlords, Lord of War, arms dealers, drug dealers, right? But why is that? You don't hear, nobody even brings this up. As far as I know, I don't think I've ever seen anybody do a show on hybristophilia who is from sort of the Evo Psych community. But like, why would that be a thing? And I think the answer is that a lot of those traits map onto survival traits. They map onto provisioning, protection, and parental investment, right? Maybe not parental, certainly provisioning and protection, right? It's okay if he's a killer as long as he kills everybody but me and my family and my offspring, right?
And I can tame him.
Yeah, it's Beauty and the Beast. It's Tarzan. Is what it comes down to. And again, his burden of performance, he excels at his burden of performance to the point where he kills motherfuckers. But that was really, I mean, if you think about it in our ancestral past, the ultimate the ultimate expression of or the ultimate demonstration of higher value. Remember DHS demonstration or DHV demonstration of higher value back in our hunter-gatherer days was to kill another dude. Right? You could take his life and take him out of the game. And so, in a sense, like I remember when. What was well, there's UFC fighting right now, MMA fighting. I remember when it was, so I was working at the Silver Legacy. I worked at the Silver Legacy Casino in Reno, and it wasn't called UFC. It was called King of the Cage back then. And like religious groups hated it. I couldn't believe it's a blood sport. They're in the octagon and they have like, they got they had the gloves on, but it wasn't like bare knuckle kind of stuff. And it was called King of the Cage. And the only place you could see MMA fighting was in Nevada, because that was the only state where it was legal. And this was back in 95, 97, somewhere around there. And I remember because I used to have to do the promos for King of the Cage.
Did you?
Yeah. And there people would be outside protesting it. And like the stuff that we call, like you just saw with Dana White out here, we're talking to the Tate brothers, right, at the UFC. People would be outside protesting King of the Cage because they thought it was too violent. It was a blood sport, right? And now we just take it for granted that it's just UFC, right? And I remember going down there and watching the fights and everything, because I could go for free, right? It was next to nothing for a ticket then. And then I worked at the place where it was going on. And so you had all these protesters outside, and then you go inside and you would see these chicks who would otherwise say, "Oh, I abhor violence," right? You could see like they just were hanging all over the fighters, and they really wanted to bang the fighters, right? And I thought about that for a minute, and I go, that's because women love violence. They like a guy with a capacity for violence. And so when you're talking about hybristophilia, or you're talking about dark triad personality traits, or all these things that women would otherwise say that they would hate, they love them by order of degree. And and they probably would question themselves as to why they actually feel that way. Why do I get tingles in my from this guy? Because he has a capacity for violence. And again, that's relating that back to the burden of performance. That's a survival trait. And so that's why I think that when we start talking about dark triad personality traits, we shouldn't. This is just me, and this is going to be really controversial, but I don't think we should call them dark. I mean, they are what they are: Machiavellianism, sociopathy, and narcissism. Right? Every one of those traits you can find by order of degree in any guy. Like even the guy who's like the sort of the very quiet, soft-spoken guy, you put him in the right position, you put him in the right context, the right situation, that's going to come out of him. Like we were just talking about Harold a minute ago, where he's going to Hulk up or something like that. That's because he's not been in that position. Like I haven't seen it, and I would never dream that he has capacity for something. Probably does, right? Yeah. And I think that guys by order of degree everyone has those personality traits. It's just that they're not either expressed, or they're just not so significant that they're like something that's like their predominant character.
Yeah. Well, and then just society itself says no.
Yeah. And
right?
no. There's I was going to say there's social buffers for that as well.
Because there's a guy that I worked with who he was a thick guy, and he got in a bar fight. He used to drink and everything, and he like almost killed somebody. And then after that, he just shut that all down. Yeah, like completely shut it down.
Experience, because he knows what he's capable.
Yeah, of. Exactly. And so he hasn't gotten with that in a healthy way, and that's kind of hurt him with the women too, right? Because he doesn't even want to go there, and so he's not able to express that side of him in a healthy way for a woman to really open up to him the way he would want her to open up to him. But then on the flip side, it's like, you being in a band, right? So a woman seeing a guy up on the stage who is competent. Yeah. Right. For sure. And other people are watching him. So from that vantage point too, it's like, it doesn't just have to be dark triad. It could be just something like that, right? And you know, being in a band, that you have plenty of girls that want to,
even to this
day, want to be with you just because you're up on the stage and you're special and you can
all
lead.
these strippers from Centerfold Police Wednesday 8 p.m. Yes.
Doe just fired 3 of them.
Did you see that? Oh my god, that was so. I love Little Darlings, man. Little Darlings up
That's so
north,
funny.
man. Little Darlings is a strip club here in Vegas, and they have the funniest fucking like marquees, man. Doge made us fire the ugliest one, the 3 ugliest.
Exactly.
Oh God, somebody has a great sense of humor up there. No, but yeah, I mean, there's the performance side of things
Yes,
too, and then
exactly.
that's also status. So that's that kind of like when in fact, the very first question I had here today was talking about social circle game versus like direct approach and stuff like that. And why is social circle? I'll give you my interpretation of this. Is one of the reasons why I think Mike sticks to social circle is not because cold approach can't work. It can, but social circle is much easier if you think about it, because you're already working within a predefined social system instead of like something that's completely, like brand new. It's like virgin territory. You're just going in and diving in and going after, right? Sometimes I'm not saying it can't be successful. It can.
Well, then you can lead, right?
Yeah.
You can be shown as a leader within that community.
Within that social thing. So, but Mike's done these videos. I wish I had him here now. He's done these videos of how status is perceived. So all status is real and all status is fake, right? It just depends on how it's perceived and what the context of it is, right? So, and then of course, leveraging that to your advantage is Instagram, right? You could be whoever you want to on it. Everybody's,
exactly.
I mean, I use the example of me like on the back of Fresh's car and taking the picture, like he was taking a picture of me for one of these thumbnails. And people instantly presumed I was flexing on everyone else. So I'm going to make you feel bad by showing you me at the back of my Audi or something. Like, I don't have an Audi. You guys know I don't have an Audi. But like people think, oh, he's showing off his wealth from all the money he took from all these poor guys by selling them books. It's like, and I literally can't post a picture without everybody thinking it's a flex. And I thought about that and I go, why is that? Because Instagram is one of those social systems, like you were talking about before. And so me anyways, I can't get away from it, but it's never been easier to sort of fake the cues of high social status now. And even that comes back to what Rob Henderson was talking about, like, what was it? Luxury beliefs, right? One of those luxury beliefs is that I actually own a fucking Audi, which I don't. But the presumption is that I would, just by putting it on there. And so really what it was it was me. Everybody said it was a flex because they presumed that I was showing off my wealth or I was showing off something. I have a Camaro. Thank you very much. But the presumption was that it was a flex because, again, I think a lot of people are hyper aware of the fact that Instagram, especially Instagram, is a format or a platform onto which you go and that's what you're supposed to do, right? Because it's broadcasting social cues. And they thought I was broadcasting a social cue. I was not. But again, that's the presumption of it. So if I go and I post a picture of me, and I will on Thursday after the gig, right? And me on stage or something like that, people are going to presume I'm flexing, and I will be this time. But at least you'll be going in with the correct presumption, right? Because that's the default presumption in that social system.
Yes.
So,
yes.
Yeah. But it's never been easier. And this is what Mike was always saying, is that it's never been easier to sort of fake the cues of of high social status right now, which is why one of the first things that Mike does, and really us too, is help you curate your Instagram so that you get maximum utility out of it. So if you are in the Reignite program, or if you're in the MOA program as well, we're going to help you learn how to use Face App and Body App and how to strategically curate an Instagram profile or an Instagram pictures and everything else. And there's I hate to say that there's like a science to it, but there is kind of a science to it.
Yeah.
But go look at Jim Kilgore's Instagram, and you'll know exactly what the format and the template is. But yeah,